guys, and it's time now for our community segment here on this Tuesday, which means we get to check in with Mary O'Connell. And today we are talking about one of the pillars of having a successful 3PL. That's finding the right TMS to use. Mary, thanks for being here, and we're talking tech today.
Absolutely. As we know, there's no better way to start your Tuesday morning than hanging out with you guys. But yeah, basically this week we have the chance to really break down what you should look for in a good TMS, what you should be expecting, and then kind of, what that onboarding process with them should look like.
And Mary, this is something I hear all the time when I go to trade shows, whenever I hear from 3PLs, is that they either have their own custom TMS or they have some really high-end TMS with all the bells and whistles and so much more to offer. When is the right time to maybe look into maybe building out your own TMS, or really even maybe I need to take on a new TMS system and that's really going to really make meet all my needs? Is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah.
Well, you bring up a great point, because in every 3PL or every, transportation management company's life, there is a time where they do need to get a new TMS. And so that's when they have to kind of sit down and go, okay, well, what am I looking for? What's the end goal that I want from something? And that's when they can say, okay, well, I want something that's going to do X, Y, Z. And if you go out and you find one that's already built, that's great. It already has XYZ. It already does everything that you want it to do. It's already going to meet most of your needs and maybe some additional things that you didn't know you wanted. But then you have to look at the cost to, obviously buy that TMS, be a part of that network, et cetera. Well, then you also have to worry with, what would be the cost of building it yourself? So if you were to go get one, by the time you get some demos, get through the discovery process of sales, sign a contract to get it implemented, it could be about 6 months. Hopefully shorter, depends on the TMS. Some can be ready to go in 2 weeks, which is absolutely insane, but fabulous. Others, it might take a month or so to really kind of get it implemented, get it tested, work it out for specifically your company, and then you have to go live and slowly roll it out. Well, then there's that. So you're looking at 6 months or less, but roughly in that 4 to 6 months range. And then the other option is, well, I'm just going to build it myself. That means you have to hire a dev team, hire a project manager, figure out what you want to be in it, and then build it up from scratch, which is going to take a couple years. However, if what you're looking for, it doesn't exist on the market, that is your option. So it really just comes down to, the cost of going with something that's already built. And it might be higher up front than, than developing your own, but you're going to get it implemented much faster. And you're going to, if you have a roadblock, it's going to become someone else's problem versus how are you going to fix it and maybe compromise some of the stuff that you're looking for.
Of course, when it comes to deciding to go with a TMS that's provided on the marketplace, as you mentioned, it can be kind of this long, arduous process, right? And if you are maybe a smaller operation, or if you are a carrier who's looking for a TMS service, you have to weed through a lot of companies to figure out the right offerings and figure out kind of what fits your business model. There are so many offerings that it can be very difficult to do. What are some of those key things that you should really look for in a TMS provider? Is it going to be customer service level? Is it going to be ease of access? What are some of those things that really make the ones stand out from the others?
I mean, it's going to be different for everyone because everyone's going to have different needs. That is kind of the one interesting thing that makes it where you see all these different TMS providers, but ultimately they all serve a different purpose and they all really kind of help customers in their own way. So when it comes to, how do I know, or like, what should I be looking for? The things that are important to you. If little downtime is important to you, well, then you want to look at a TMS that, has 99% uptime. And if there is a failure, what is that that service level agreement, that minimum amount of time that they can be down before payment starts kicking in. So if it's, if we're down for more than 2 hours, then, that provider will start owing you money for the loss of business. So just, that uptime, obviously customer service, because inevitably something's going to go wrong. Inevitably there's going to be a bug, and you want to make sure that you're getting responses quickly, not we'll get to you in a week or two, because sometimes that is the option that happens. So those, to me, those are the most important, is, that uptime. And then, because if you're going to put most of your day-to-day businesses in, day-to-day operations in there, you don't want to be able to be down. You don't want to have that downtime. So it's absolutely crucial that that's one of those. So to me, the customer service part of it, and then that uptime, obviously in relation to cost, those are going to be like the number one things that you look for. But ultimately that could change for everyone depending on what the needs of their business are.
And of course, when thinking about TMS and these systems, one of the things I'm thinking about is the advancement of technology and AI. How is that going to start to really kind of factor into TMS?
It's going to be interesting, because some TMSs will just say, "Oh, we're gonna just implement AI for the sake of implementing AI. We're gonna implement this new tech just for the sake of implementing it." But that's not necessarily going to improve anything within that TMS. So you're looking for someone that really, really, really validates those integration partners. Like, for example, Sonar, our FreightWaves Sonar has integrated with a bunch of TMSs. And so it's really important that, you have a quality provider. And I mean, what about a quality provider than FreightWaves? But on the other side, if you are that customer with that TMS, you really want to make sure that that not just anyone that has a tech company can get integrated with this TMS, that they really do pride themselves on vetting those quality vendors, and that they are really adding value to it. Because the last thing you want is an integration that's going to slow down your system, not be applicable to you, and just generally be worse than where you started. So that's the most important part, is, making sure that they're not just integrating, they're not just implementing tech for the sake of doing it. They really do say, this is what we're doing, and this is the return that you should be seeing as a result of it.
ROI, of course, one of those number one things to look for and to hope for when you find a new provider. Mary, thank you for joining us this morning. We've got Chat Call coming up at 12:30. Where can the people find it?
You can keep watching FreightWaves TV right here on YouTube. And if that's not where you found it, then you can link it to anywhere you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Awesome, Mary. Looking forward to your upcoming episode, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back with our next check of the weather in just a few minutes.